Hello and welcome to the Silver and Black Coffee Hour. My name is Tom Petrini. I am here with Aaron Blackby. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, to be quite honest. I it it's a somber mood around Central Texas at the moment. I can get into that here in a little bit, but how are you doing, Tom? How's your fourth?
I'm okay. Yeah, no, fourth was all right, but it was obviously the flooding here where we are the Austin San Antonio area. Um, Kerr County, Kerrville, the people who have died, the people who are missing still after some very serious flooding in our area. Um, hearts go out to all of those people. Yeah, it's a tough day for
Eh,
sure. And just having worked in news and covered, you know, events like this where people lost their lives, it's always just sort of hits me, you know, that these are all people in our community. So yeah, really, really, really tough. And yeah, just hoping for peace and comfort for everybody affected by that.
Totally. Mm, I will have in the episode description of this some places if anyone is able to make donations um, for it. Uh, that area of Texas is uh, special to me. It's where my wife is from. Um, that is also we try to go out there. We make sure we go out there like every summer. Just like revisit it. We go to Kreider's out and hunt. Um, it's a rodeo out there, and then they have like an open air dance hall that's like really great. It's a really special part of Texas. Um, we are definitely praying for everyone affected by it. Um, and yeah, like I said, we'll have uh, at least one donation link in the episode description, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it wherever you get your podcasts. Um, and we've done this, I think, one other time before at near the beginning of the show. I'm trying to remember what happened, but I just want to always
It
tell
was
people
during the
like,
fires,
that's right.
the fires out in LA. Yeah.
The fires out in LA, and just want to encourage people. Um, Anything is welcome. It can be $5. It's not a matter of how much. It's sometimes with the instances like this, it's just something. And every little act counts. And I will do the best on my end of vetting uh, donation links to make sure that they are going to the people most directly affected directly. Um, But, if there's any other links, for people that'll be in the chat or the comments later, like, please provide those. Let's, like, work on this together, to, support our greater Central Texas community that's going through this. So,
Thank you for doing that, AB. And yeah, just want to take the time here as a public service announcement. If the roads are dangerous, stay off them. If you don't drive through puddles, turn around. Make sure that you're staying safe out there because the rain and the flash flooding and the storms that we've been having here this spring into summer, it's no joke. It's dangerous. And yeah, we're definitely a little heavy on that today. Um, but
we
thank you guys
also
already.
and also, Zach, he's on here with us today. He has some work actually down in San Antonio that he's, going through, so we just want Zach, wanna wish him safe travels first and foremost, especially going up and down I-35. and well, we will see Zach very soon, obviously, and maybe we can
I
use
know
this.
Zach wanted to be here on this show, right? I know he was a little bummed that he couldn't join us for this one, but I'm bummed that I'm not going to be able to go out with you boys to Las Vegas, Nevada to see the Summer Spurs. That's if you've been following my career for a while, you know that uh, I don't really like Las Vegas, Nevada, but the evil alter ego that I share this body with, Tommy Vegas, uh, it's his middle name. So definitely go to the Bellagio, find the Fortune Cup horse racing machine, and put a sizable bet on Rhythms of Rio for me, the Canella, the so for to place 1-2. That's all
Bellagio
I.
horse game, sizable bet on rhythms of something.
Rhythms of Rio, or any horse that's got a little teal on it.
Okay, any horse that has teal on it or rhythms of Rio.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a big bubble table. You can't miss it. It's right by the blackjack.
okay, cool.
Unless they moved it, in which case I'll be mad.
I've never been in the Bellagio yet, so um,
What?
yeah,
A
man.
man of culture such as yourself?
I mean, when I go to Vegas, it is only for Summer League, and like last year, I went to Dead and Co at the Sphere, and so I stayed at the Venetian, and like that's it. This year, staying at the Fountain Blue on the end of the strip because I thought it was really nice. But like we went to a restaurant last year that was there, and I like dined across the table from across the restaurant from Chet Holmgren, and
Right.
uh,
I remember
and there
this.
were a bunch
Yeah.
of like NBA players there, so uh, rooms are actually a lot cheaper there than at the Venetian. And so myself and Zach will be out there. We'll also be out there with a couple other friends who are, hoop sickos, taking in those summer Spurs. But before we get into summer Spurs, first off, like and subscribe to the podcast as well. Gotta say that. Secondly, um, I mean, man, let's like jump into it. The last time we were together was the draft show. Mm, held at the Armadillo Den. Shout out to the Spurs again for that. Shout out to Armadillo Den for being incredibly accommodating while us not infringing upon the party. Just we had a lot of factors going on with that. And then like a big shout out to our buddy Trevor who like helped produce that with us. Tom, what do you got to say about draft show?
Oh man, it was great. It was awesome to see so many Spurs fans out there on a rainy night in Austin, Texas. Hundreds of people getting together and watching the Spurs make their selections that those fans were excited about, and I know we're excited about. Um, it was, I mean, it was cool to see how many subscribers of the show and listeners to the show came out to support us. That's one area where we have to give our in absentia partner a lot of props. I think Zach had literally dozens of people out there to support, including his parents.
Zach rolls
It
deep,
was
very deep.
Zach rolls about 3 dozen deep, it seems. And so it was really amazing. We had people who were listeners of the show that came on and talked. Um, people who were new to the show. It was really really just fun to be out there in the community. It was amazing to be out there live for 2 hours on draft night. Um, thank you to the Spurs and the Dillo Den for 100 drink tickets for our subscribers. That was pretty amazing. Um, and just a really fun night where like, you're reminded that you're not the only Spurs fan in Austin, Texas, and also the Spurs are making very intentional efforts to build that. So really, really cool. Um, and yeah, shout out to Trevor because I'm super happy with how the show looked. It was really crisp. It sounded great for an active environment. Yeah, no, it went off really, really well. And we got to uh see the Spurs select Dylan Harper, who we knew they were going to select, and then Carter Bryant, who
Fell
I think a
into
lot
their
of people
lap.
might be able to select. Uh, and we'll talk about those guys later on in the show when we get into on court summer league talk. Um, but first, I mean, dude, can we talk about it? Like Luke Kornett, baby. Wow.
And I mean,
Let's go. Let's go.
the absolute, I mean, he's a bit older in that he's not in his 20s, but he still fits the timeline of like we need a solid backup center. And the Spurs going out, getting their guy from a center and from the centers that were available, I would put him up there, if not the best, top two. You know, I know that on the draft show we talked about Brook Lopez potentially, but for a guy who knows his position, is elite in small minutes, I think we'll be doing just fine in games where he has to step up and be the starting center. Um, I am hyped about this. And what's really funny, I mean, this is like, I mean, silly sicko stuff. Like we are hyped about getting the backup center, for the Spurs, but we talked about it so many times. Like Wemby goes out, who's gonna hold on to the reins with it? The other thing with this too, um, I really harped on it near the end of the season as we were kind of looking for the silver linings of things. That backup bench unit with Champagny, with Keldon, with Jeremy, and who was the fourth on that backup bench unit? I don't think it was Harrison Barnes. Um, it might have been Castle with
Yeah,
the
Castle
four.
for a bit, and then he, worked his way into
Yeah,
starting. Things got jumbled toward the end,
they
but
were,
like
but they were a
a solid
positive.
bench unit.
They were a positive net rating unit. That four. So to be able to put like a guy who's taller than 6'8", no shade to Bismack Biyombo, you did what you could for us, and like incredibly appreciative. But getting this dude Luke Kornett, and especially from like a defensive standpoint, like it's like, dude, we just need you to like change nothing that you learned in Boston and just do it here. And I've had a number of Boston friends text me and be like, y'all got a really good one. So that's
Yes.
always like the best when you hear from the fan base that like watches them more closely than I do.
And, you know, the if you know me, you know that the Celtics are one of the only other teams in the league that I like pay attention to
Mhm.
recreation. Um, and Luke Cornett, man, I know, like, like it might seem like I'm doing a bit being this excited about the backup center. I'm not. This is genuine excitement. Okay, like, and I have many varied reasons for this. One of them being Celtics fans love this guy for a reason, right? Um, you know, I tweeted this out and I like understood when I tweeted it that it was on its face like almost a ridiculous thing to say out loud. But this is how I feel, and this is something that you can attest to having done this show with me. How many times last year did I come into a show or a conversation about this team with you and say, this team really just needs Kevin Durant? I didn't do that one time.
We could
How many times did we talk about backup center?
a lot, dude. I mean, you were, interpolating Weezer for Jonas Valanciunas for a number of months.
Yes.
And we were trying to think of like in season solutions. Now, when you're in like off season and the grander picture of what the Spurs are doing, Yeah, like this makes so much sense. Incredibly exciting. Welcome to San
When
Antonio, Luke Kornett.
when you were building something or rebuilding something, uh, if you can look at the ugliest part of it, if you can look at the thing that's broken the worst and turn that into a feature instead of a bug, that's an amazing way to go about building. And if that thing is something like the backup center, which is, you know, these guys don't grow on trees, but they also can be hired for a relatively reasonable amount of money, right?
I mean, I love the contract. It's
4 years,
like
41 of them.
it's a very reasonable, great price for us. Love all the people that participated in the poll you put up as well. It seemed like most people were wanting Cornet based
We
on
had
the other kind of bigs.
750 voters in that
Damn.
poll on the Twitter. 54% of them said get Cornett. The other options were Gershon Yabusele, 26% to the Knicks, right? Uh, Brooke Lopez at 13% and Clint Capella at 7%. Clint Capella, Rockets return. That's pretty fun. Um,
As
but
the third stringer there.
right,
Yeah.
right. But yeah, I look at this signing of Luke Cornett, and you might look at his averages last year, be like, okay, he had 19 minutes a game, 6 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 1.6 assists, a block, and half a steal per game. Okay, so what? Big deal. We're spending $41 million on this guy. Uh, then
Think
you
of it
look a
like
little deeper.
10 per year. Think of it like 10 per year rather than 40
It
million.
is
Yeah, that's 10 per year.
10 per year is fantastic
Yeah.
to address the biggest need that your team had last year, right? And to do it with a guy who, um, I mean, if you watch Game Five against the Knicks, when that Celtics team was reeling from the loss of Jason Tatum, was like back against the wall, like could have just rolled over and died. Luke Kornett, 10 points on 5 of 5 shooting, 9 rebounds, 7 blocks, just like pure heart. This guy
Um,
held opponents to 51% shooting in the paint this year. He's a great defender.
so does he have that dog in him?
He's he's got he's got that dog in him. He's also got that giraffe in him, kind of like. But like uh he moves his feet really well. He's a excellent defender as a big man. And that's the main thing where you need a guy who is tall and can rebound and isn't going to get killed defensively every time. And Luke Cornett is one of the better rim protectors. Like, forget about backup big men. Just in terms of centers in the league, he's a really, really stout option, right? So, last year led the Celtics in screen assists per game and box outs per game. He's a little things guy. He's a make the right play guy. He is uh, a very he's a goofball. Him and Derek White got along really well. The one of the
Yes.
memes I've been seeing is Celtics fans are mourning their loss and our gain is you know a thing where Luke Cornett was the self-professed team expert on emotional availability. Love that. Like, and you said he's old. Like, you didn't say he's old. You said he's older than some of these babies on the
Well,
team, right?
look, so
He had the backup center.
to have a backup that is not, in his early 20s, understands his role in the league. It's kind of like from last year bringing in Barnes and CP3, like just dudes that like have been in the league for a while, have seen some form of his success. He was on the championship team with the Celtics. Like he understands what it takes to get to the mountaintop. We didn't overpay. The the window of what the Spurs are trying to do is finally opening. as of today, like as of this recording, like we could say like truly the Spurs are making moves to be in the playoffs next year. I don't think there's, you know,
And I think they've been
yeah,
doing that since last off season.
agreed,
And
agreed. But
you know,
like now with the way like last season went, it's like this season will be different. They're not going to go to Paris. They're still going to have a rodeo road trip. Hopefully there will not be like another natural disaster that like limits things, but looking back on the in some of the kind of further exit interviews where like players have been talking in the off season about like we were just gone for so long during so many different stretches between like the time they had in New York, and then yeah, like the LA wildfires in January, then they went to Paris, then they had the rodeo road trip, then they had the All-Star break. And all the while, Webby, deals with the DVD, shut down Fox, sent us. I mean, it's just like a lot of factors. So, like, I think some of that, yeah, pop the whole time, like we're looming over the season. So it's, I think there's a lot of things just already like rolling in the favor of the Spurs, but you know, doing that, doing this, like getting Luke Kornett, like one of the top free agent prospects out there from a really good team, even though there's like talk that like with Tatum out next year, it's kind of an off year for them. Like the East is still going to be wide open, you know, and he was a free agent and is still deciding this is where I want to come. So thank you, Luke Cornett. But this now leaves two more roster slots available for us. And we have about 9.7 million to spend as of this recording. And it's part of what do you have here? The
the mid
MLE.
level,
Mhm.
yeah, mid levels exception, and then the entire biannual exception is open. So yeah, Spurs could have committed more money to Luke Cornett if they wanted to, but they were able to save some dough here and save some room in there, like you said, two roster spots. So, um, what do you think that the team needs the most here with those two roster spots?
So I'm trying to do something as we talk about, basketball analysis to do analysis first, then names. So I think
Mm.
sometimes in basketball, we'll be like, oh, a Luke Cornett type. And Tom, you did a good job of laying out what a Luke Cornett type is from like a statistical perspective. Um, Two things. I still think we need one more big at least. I think to the point of there will probably be games where Wemby sits out. Let's just have a contingency plan because he's a tall lad. Let's get like one more serviceable third string center of sorts. I think we just need at least one more center like long body in there. And then let's shore up 3-point shooting. And I think we can do that in a lot of ways. But one of the things I was looking at yesterday, the Spurs finished last season in 20th place in 3-point shooting, according to StatMuse, at 35.7%. We were tied with the Kings at 35.7%. The rest of the league that became playoff teams was 36% and over. So when I look at that and I'm like kind of making my analysis, I'm like, we already went over like all the things that went through the season. Let's find someone that either helps inflate that 1 percentage point up or at least stabilizes it not dropping further down. So with all that being said, my initial guys of like who are still available as of this recording, I wouldn't be upset, honestly, if we brought back Charles Bassey. We know what Charles Bassey is in limited minutes. We know he's not ready for the big stage, but like he still, when in his limited time, he was able to come out, make some fun blocks, fouls a lot. But you know what? When you're back a big, like use those fouls, buddy. We saw in the playoffs, shit's going to get physical anyway. So like be a little bit more of a bruiser. Totally okay with that. The other guy that I'd really like to see, I've also seen our friend Matthew Tynan mention his name, Amir Coffee. Um, really caught my eye because remember that game last year when we played the Clippers and we were like up 40 points and then we gave it up and Jeremy got hurt and we lost. And one of the guys who went off in that game was Amir Coffee. And so,
Right.
yeah, who last year shot 40.9% from 3 point shooting. Um, Other two free agents that might be interesting that kind of fit the same criteria that I'm looking for. Go look at Thomas Bryant, another big who was for the Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers are, also having a little bit of a void in center with Miles Turner leaving. So who's to say about like if you're asking me from an aesthetic point, Thomas Bryant, you can complete the karmic cycle of being wowed when you first saw Wemby dunk on you. It'd be very cool. And then the other one,
It
a
was an
real
amazing moment looking directly into the camera.
exactly.
Just
It was, and then another one, really kind of like a deep cut here. Garrison Matthews, free agent, last season played for the Atlanta Hawks. He's a shooting guard and shot 39% from three. Um, those are kind of some of the guys that I'm looking at, but like after Luke Kornett, they have not made any other moves. It's been pretty quiet, except for I think the guy that you want to bring up here that like had a little smoke to it yesterday.
yeah, so we got some reporting that the Spurs were going to be one of the teams interested in Ryan Rollins. Uh, Most recently in Milwaukee, shot 41% from three. Could be a good option for shooting. Um, and I agree with you on, getting another big body. We have to say, uh, one big body the Spurs will not be getting back is Sandro Mamukelashvili, which makes me sad. But it makes me happy that he's going to go be great in Toronto. We're proud of you, Mamu. Thank you so much for your kindness over the years and the memories. I will never forget the Flava Flav game for as long as I live. That's gonna be like such a fun one to like do for trivia years and years and years from now. Like just can you name the people in this photograph? Uh I hope so. I hope it's easy because Sandro Mamukelashvili turns into like, Georgian Jokic. But shout out to Sandro Mamukelashvili, man. Um I
Absolutely.
digress though.
Thank you for your service, Sandro.
I digress though, because while I agree with you that, get another big body and get, some shooting help are probably the things that make the most sense for the Spurs to do, and therefore the things that the Spurs will do. Because that's all the Spurs have been doing is just do the thing that makes the most sense. Ask yourself at any point in time, what's the thing that would make the most sense for the Spurs to do? They're probably doing it,
They
right?
might not do it on various fans' timelines of when they want to do it, but as we've talked to people in the org, they're humans. They watch the same games. They're like, yeah, we probably do do like a backup pick. Like, I mean,
Right.
it's about finding the right window of opportunity. I think most people are just like, we'll do it now, and it's like this ain't the window. And the team,
Right.
really lays in the cut with that a lot. And I got to
And
respect them
we
for
have
that patience.
okay, so since you brought that up, I think I've got to do some high praise here. Just
Oh yeah,
on the Spurs being patient, right? Because like we have seen over the years this team be patient and then they be patient some more. And then once again, they'll be patient. And sometimes they'll also be patient. And I know that some people watching that, it's like, man, can you just do something other than be patient? And it's like, I think I'm going to be patient. But there's a misconception that because they're being patient, they're not doing anything. I was putting together like what have the Spurs done in terms of, you know, trades and free agent acquisitions, right? Since the start of last off season, right? So since the start of last off season, they drafted Stephon Castle. They traded the eighth pick for 2031 first and a 2030 first round swap with Minnesota. That 2031 first round pick got lumped into the De'Aaron Fox trade. Uh, got Chris Paul to
Also
mentor
drafted
Stephon.
friend of the show, Harrison Ingram,
Yes,
who is being
absolutely.
featured a lot right now in Summer Spurs marketing collateral. So Harrison, we're proud of you, bro.
And Riley Minix, who looks healthy. We actually were at the game where he hurt himself this past season. So excited to see. Speaking of shooting, excited to see what Riley Minix can do.
Sorry to
Um,
derail you, but those two also, yeah, are on the team
Stayed
from
on the
in
rails.
the
It was an
yeah.
important. It was an important addition. Got Harrison Barnes, right? Who started. He played 82 games last year and shot like 40% from three. Um, they went and got De'Aaron Fox in exchange for Zach Collins, Trey Jones, CD Sissoko, uh, the 2025 Chicago pick, which was 12th, the 2027 Spurs first round pick, uh, the 2031 Minnesota first that they picked up, uh, and a bunch of second round picks because the Charlotte pick that they traded, that was a first round pick, well, it didn't convey. So that's two second round picks, in addition to the two other second round picks. And so, like, and then you go get Luke Kornett and luck into drafting Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant. And I saw people being
Can
like,
that
well, it was luck that they got Dylan Harper. And it's like, yeah, it was, but they also deserve a little bit of credit for doing the boring, patient, simple, not overthinking a thing of just taking the best player there.
did you ever watch Andor?
I'm rewatching it right now.
So in the second season, Luthen, who I would say is probably the initial spark of the rebellion. And in the second season, he says something that I've been thinking about a lot since then for a multitude of reasons, but I'll apply it to the Spurs. I think sometimes people see this patience on behalf of the front office, and it's like this is a loser mentality. And in Andor, Luthen is he had just adopted one of the other characters, mine misses me, and they're walking through a market where the Empire comes and collects this group of people and murders them in the front, like in front of everybody. And the little girl asks, like, why didn't we do anything? Why, like, are we just going to lose? And Luthen looks at her and he says, yes, we're going to lose and we're going to lose and we're going to lose so that one day we can win. He was very patient and he was very much like, yes, these short-term wins will not lead to the long-term gains that like I am truly looking for. And I think I do not think of it with this team as it's been like a loser's mentality. It's not. It is understanding we now have potentially, for a Spurs podcast, I'm going to derail myself here. We don't really talk. We haven't talked about Wemby much, and he's like this, this next greatest thing in the league. But we have the next greatest thing in the league here, and we are making sure that the timeline of his development lines up perfectly to be a sustainable powerhouse with it. And that window's officially open coming into this next season. Like I like the patience has paid off. Yes, like they got lucky with getting the number 2 pick. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Now we got a guy like Dylan Harper coming in. We've had the development of Steph Castle, who also had a new video come out from the Guard Whisperer last night that I have yet to watch, but will probably this afternoon. Um, with all that being said, I am with you, Tom, and commending the front office during this time. It's not easy to
I mean,
know that
just
you have the next greatest thing in your back pocket and like, let's go, you know? So
think about just the players that they have added in terms of De'Aaron Fox, Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, Steph Castle, Dylan Harper, Carter Bryant, Luke Kornett. Like, are those additions that of a team that is not focused on getting to winning here really soon? Like let's think about like what it takes to build long term in the league for 5 seconds, right? You see all these teams blowing it up. We've talked about this second apron that all of these teams are afraid of. That all of these teams are, figuring out maneuvers to duck out of if they don't think that they're going to be like a top 3 title contender that year. Um, you know, the worst thing happens and you've got to really make some tough decisions, and some of the decisions are made for you. Like that's what happened with the Celtics, not really blowing it up, but they had to reshape themselves a little bit here, because there's no way that they could justify paying $200 million in tax in a year where their best player is hurt.
happened with
Can't
the
do it.
Pacers. Dame Lillard essentially just got his whole contract stretched. You know,
Yep.
like everybody's maneuvering in this, so it's not a place anymore, at least as the current CBA is constructed, where you can just take like a massive leap. I would imagine though, and I said this on the stream, that like this season the Spurs are going to be patient again. I think their patience is towards making the playoffs, like pretty aggressively. I'm pretty confident in that. And they will then, I think, do something similar to like what Orlando did. Orlando was like, wow, we have this nasty defense. We have this budding all-star and Paulo Banchero. We got to work on Franz's yips. But the thing that we're really bad at is three-point shooting. Let's go get one of the best three-point, like on ball, off ball creators in the league, Desmond Bain. Here's 4 first round picks. We are immediately solving our need because the conditions of the league now have fully changed where we think we truly have a window right now. And they're in the East, so like I would imagine that something potentially like that happens, in 12 months down the line. But to your point, maybe we also do see that because they haven't made a move on any more free agents that are out there, that there's a move that we're not seeing going to be made.
So I think I can see other moves being made, right? I can't see what they are exactly, but I think I'm going to go an opposite direction than what than your thought, because I think that the Spurs took that same mindset and approach to this offseason, right? Where, you know, you get Dylan Harper at 2, but then Carter Bryant is available at uh, you know, later in the lottery, uh and it was 12,
14.
14. It was
Yeah.
14. Uh yeah, sorry, my brain is a little scrambies. Uh, I don't think a lot of people expected Carter Bryant to be available at 14. Um, and so for them to be able to pick him there, you take a swing on the talent. I know we had talked about potentially using that selection to shore up backup big, but let's be honest, I want a seasoned vet in there. And it's the kind of thing where it may be easier and cheaper to uh, pick him up in the free agency market, especially when you don't know how many more lottery picks you're going to get as the Spurs. You got to, take those swings on the high end talent when you can take them. And so the Spurs took that. What's our biggest need? We need a backup big man. And they spent $10 million a year on it as opposed to 4 first round picks. Right. And so if the Spurs make a trade that involves that many picks, or even close to it, I imagine it's going to be much more in the mold of what they did with De'Aaron Fox, where, you know, because there are going to be players who get disgruntled. There are going to be players who say, "Hey, that might make sense playing in San Antonio with all of those guys."
I'm going to interrupt you there and use this to transition to what we want to talk about. next because we made a hire. And to your point, if we're giving up that many picks, there might be a certain someone in the northern part of America, in a place where Bonnie Iver is also from, which I'm a huge fan of, Wisconsin. Might be a certain Greek freak in Milwaukee, Wisconsin that maybe he gets a little antsy. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I'll use this to transition that we did hire who seems to be a crown jewel of the coaching staff, Don Sweeney, who was uh, a coach that helped and aided in Giannis's development as a player. And Mitch Johnson here is putting together a very interesting um, coaching staff for himself, specifically with more of a focus on defense. Though Sean Sweeney, I believe, has taken on some offensive duties as well. This dude is like a hot name right now in the league. Who knows how long he'll actually be in San Antonio, but this just seems like a great pickup. There's been some great articles written about his coaching style and being like a very direct coach, but also very player friendly and just kind of like a defensive wizard. So Sean Sweeney, welcome to the team. Tom, what do you think about some of the coaching staff, specifically in Sean Sweeney, Mitch Johnson's put together?
So with the addition of Sean Sweeney, um, when Shams broke the news, it was like, he's being hired as associate head coach in San Antonio. Uh, and I very honestly and innocently put up the question, like, you know,
What's that?
he seems really talented. What does that mean? You know, is this, assistant to the regional manager type situation? Like, what's the, you know, and Don Harris, absolute legend of the game, was, very helpful and informative on basically it being lead assistant, right? With probably a little more weight in the title and the responsibility and the pay. But the reason that I asked that question is because the Spurs typically don't designate an associate head coach among their staff. They don't typically have a publicly available hierarchy of, like, like when Pop would get ejected, the coach taking over was typically the coach who ran the film on the opponent, right? That's how it worked every time.
It is.
Um, so it was very interesting. The reason I asked that question and wanted clarity on what exactly is happening here is uh, it's significant for the Spurs to name anybody that, and it's especially significant to do that for somebody who you're bringing in, you know, uh, not off the street, obviously, but not from within, right? Which, I understand there was, competition for his services. And so getting this bigger title and more responsibility here may have been a way for the Spurs to lure talent over. Uh, and, I think the Spurs are very good as an organization about setting ego aside to bring in talent and further the team goal.
Yeah.
Um, so
So
a pretty big deal for them to make this hire.
yeah, I agree. And we also, I mean, the staff so far is a real focus on defense. The next guy that we brought in, Corliss Williamson, former NBA player, uh, big nasty. Some nasty is back in San Antonio. He was really the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Timberwolves last year, who were also known to have a great defense. And he helped with transition defense and rebounding, which that seemed like something that we could use some help on last year. And what I'm interested with these coaches, along with Mitch Johnson, is it seems like Mitch Johnson is really identifying, hey, like this is the areas that I need help in. Here's what I'm going to focus on. Seems like it is going to be more on the offensive side of the ball. Talked about like the 5 out offense with him and what that entails. And so uh, staff's getting a little bit younger, a little more modernized from a organizational standpoint. Um, yeah, I'm excited about what's being put together so far. What do you got about the big nasty, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to improve defense and rebounding, uh, and you can bring in a coach who focused on that as a coach after focusing on it as a power forward in the league who went by Big Nasty, you do that. You know, like that's a that's a guy who can help your staff for sure. Um, you know, it's encouraging to see. It's encouraging to see the focus of like, you know, like you can get a good idea of what the points of emphasis are going to be, at least generally,
Hmm.
based on some of these additions. I love that he can be, you know, sort of another vocal driver of the Spurs defense, especially with these young guys. Um, and you know, we were talking about the Spurs team building earlier. This has been a long term team building philosophy. You can go back for as long as uh, you know, the players who are on this team have been drafted. Um, but like the last 4 years specifically, Jeremy Sohan, widely regarded as the best wing defender in the draft. Wemby, it needs no introduction. And then you go get Steph Castle, who was the best guard defender in the draft. He goes and wins Rookie of the Year. This year you draft Carter Bryant. Um, you know, that's 4 years in a row of selecting arguably the best wing defender in the draft or Wemby. You know,
He is in a
so
category of his own, that's for sure.
right. They value positional size, they value long limbs and defensive ability, being able to switch. So like for them to go get coaches that really value the defensive end of the ball, super exciting.
Yeah, man. And this last guy on the coaching staff, he's not the last guy on the coaching staff. He's actually the head of player development. Really young. He's going to be the head coach this year for the Summer Spurs, which is a really cool development to see. Mike Noyes. This guy is about 30 years old. It's a little just he's a little older than you, Tom, but he uh, previously coached in Memphis. Last season was his first season with the Spurs. Steph Castle is one of the guys who's credited him with that slow step that he really came to be trademarked for last season. I'm going to tell you something about Mike Noyes. I did a little bit of deep dive research on him yesterday. One, I found his high school mixtape from Granbury High School or Granby High School.
Yo,
I found his mixtape on YouTube, and the dude, when I'm thinking about like the guys that we've recently drafted with Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, like the guy was a guard and De'Aaron Fox, and so everybody I feel like has said like, do we have shooting? These guys all crap, like drive the lane and all that. I tell you, most of that mixtape for Mike Noyes is about him going through the lane, slicing through it, finishing with his right and left hand. And I was like, oh, okay, I see the vision here with this guy. Uh, you can find
and
his
that's a
YouTube
very
video out
good
there.
point to bring up because I mean, think about it. Shooting shooting it there's an art to it, sure, but it's more scientific. It's more of a process. It's more mechanical. Driving the lane is much more art and decision making. It's much more
Instinctual,
you
I would
know,
say. You are
right.
making
And
so
so
many split second decisions based on where someone's foot just moved or a hand is or anything like that. So really stoked on him. He did He did go to UConn and he actually studied in actuarial science. So like this dude is like smart as hell. And if you guys know anything about like actuary, this is like so rudimentary like understanding of it. It's like just like understanding like every possibility that can happen. Like that's
Yeah.
like kind of like where his mind goes. So he's going to be the
It's like
coach.
Doctor Strange for insurance companies usually.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah.
So I'm
It's hardcore statisticals, but instead of figuring out, which population groups are most likely to crash their cars, uh, I think it's, the 18 to 25-year-old men demographic kind of probably. Um, but instead of figuring stuff like that out, it's like, okay, if this player drives in this direction on this defender, and has these 17 different moves at his disposal, which one is the one that's going to result in the most points per possession type of thinking. But so that combined
yeah.
with the technical ability is really, really cool. And I just got to say, like, summer league coach is a big deal. It's a big deal for the Spurs. It's a big opportunity. Um, Many of your favorite Spurs assistants have leapt up into this role. Most memorably, Becky Hammon, leading team to a championship in summer league, and Mitch Johnson, who I actually bumped into out on the strip last time I was out there. Uh, but it's a big deal. It's cool to see, and another one of those guys who clearly has sort of the respect from the guys in that locker room.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also just a signal from the front office of what they're wanting to get out of the summer league team is like, hey, I think this is truly a really big investment in time spent with Dylan Harper to like really make sure he gets up to speed. And don't get me wrong, Dylan Harper is going to play like 2 games. He's going to play Friday night, and he's going to play Thursday night against VJ Edgecombe, and they're going to make sure that he plays on Saturday afternoon against Cooper Flag, and then he's going to sit. That's just kind of the summer league way. But who knows about Carter Bryant, how long he's going to be out there. Carter Bryant's also going to be participating in the San Francisco Summer League that starts today. um, I think this is like a heavy investment to put the player development coach like this in that head coaching standpoint, to see what he has there, but also to just have more of that hands-on experience. Same with like Riley Minix, Harrison Ingram, like just really like we're going to give you the time to really get some evaluation with these guys. So I'm really cool. I'm really excited to see, and they'll be playing the Miami Heat, I believe, later this afternoon.
Very, very excited to see the Spurs get on the court. Summer Spurs get on the court. Dylan Harper not in that game. Uh, Carter Bryant maybe? Question mark. But let's talk about these guys for a few minutes here to close out the show, because we've had some time to process and to watch some tape, and I think we watched the same tape here on Carter Bryant from those ceilings. Uh, Man, so fun to watch this guy. It's uh in terms of his role on offense, he's going to shoot threes, which he did at about a 40% clip last year. He's going to cut. He's going to he's a big body, a very big wing, with a projectable role as a 3 and D guy. But man, the defense is so fun to watch, dude.
Yeah, so Zach tonight is actually working a Shakira show in San Antonio. And before he had told me that, as I was watching Carter Bryant's tape, I was like, I wonder if this man is a Shakira fan because his hips don't lie. When he's playing defense, the dude is I've been more impressed by watching him and what his role is. The thing that like on offense too, Tom, you already kind of brought it up, but I think it's a bigger deal is the cutting ability. I imagine as a rookie, he's going to be given some pretty simple things, which is going to be, hey, you do bailout cuts and maybe crash the boards every once in a while. If you get the ball out on the three, just shoot it. You know, like if you're open, essentially. I don't think he's like his role is going to be like crazy expanded right now, but it also doesn't need to be like. And I think if he fits in those, they'll then like look at like expanding his role further down the line in his career. But uh, yeah, really love what he brings to the table. Dylan Harper.
So
I am. Oh,
can we stay on Carter Bryant for a second because his cutting, I think a lot of the cutting is opened up by his shooting, right? Uh, and it's more, there's a little bit more to his, like, his movement and the way he understands how and where to move is sort of an underrated part of his game. It's easy to see the physical gifts and the, explosive athleticism and all of that, but um, he moves really well without the ball, and makes a lot of good decisions on both ends of the floor. So if he sees a guy, cheating over a screen or whatever, he's going to punish him with a back cut and be able to catch a lob. So uh, it's I think I think for him at the NBA level, it's going to be an exercise in, you know, understanding where to be and where to move in a pretty defined role, which is exactly what a player like that needs to develop into whatever they can become.
I mean, Dylan Harper, there's not really been anything different. Just that, like, we got a big guard. Um, I mean, I can't wait to see what he does with NBA spacing, whether he starts, whether he comes off the bench. I think iron sharpens iron with whatever they figure out in training camp. And, Stephon Castle's been with the team. It seems like he and Dylan Harper are already playing 2K against each other and developing quite the rapport. So I'm really excited to see this team later this afternoon. I'm excited to see them in Vegas for a bit. And yeah, like I don't have much else to add. What do you got anything else, Tom?
So for summer league specifically, since I can't go, I'm just gonna give you and Zach a list of things to look out for, right? Um,
Sam's number
always
one.
say again,
Sam's number one.
dude. Everybody, you see everybody there. I'll never forget one time I was over at the Thomas and Mack Center, and I went to the bathroom in between. It was at halftime of the game. I went to the bathroom at halftime of the game, and I was in between an agent and a player who was in the game at the urinals, full uniform, full lather, 6'10" man. I was like, "What is happening?" It's a magical place. Magical place, the bathroom at the Thomas and Mack Center, and the concourse at the Thomas and Mack Center. You will have so much fun. But
Yes.
on the court specifically, um, summer league is a place for guys to expand beyond the role that they're going to have at the NBA level. It's it's a stage for the cream of this crop to shine against the rest of it, right? And so for Dylan Harper, I am excited to see, what he does as the lead guard because he's going to be the point guard of that team, right? They're
Oh
going to
yeah.
say, okay, you're a shot creator, create some shots. So we're going to get to see him do that with NBA teammates around him and NBA opponents on the other end of the court. Um, so I think that if if I'm if I'm Dylan Harper, I'm treating this as, a tryout for, like, because I don't know how the rotation's going to shake out, but I don't know what the most desirable part of that rotation for him to be is. For him or the team, is it sixth man where he gets to run the offense? Is it as a part of the starting lineup? So I think it's going to be the first stage. maybe not in a tryout necessarily, but in an evaluation of like, is this somebody who, you know, at 19 years old, we can trust to run our NBA second unit, in a year where we intend to compete? Or, you know, so it's gonna be there's gonna be some evaluation here, and really, really excited to see that. And yeah, just a big bet on Rhythms of Rio while you're out there, and Batista's Hole in the Wall if you can get there. Um, but yeah, uh, I think that's about it for me. You got anything?
So everybody stay dry, take care of yourselves. Um, if you're going to be out in summer league, come say hi to Zach and I. Pretty sure we're going to bring our new silver and black coffee hour polos out there. Um, we'll figure out more t-shirt giveaways down the line with Zach, and like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Keep your eyes on this space. We have some summer Spurs basketball that's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. Maybe there'll be a trade between now and then. We're about to hit the like doldrums of the summer, but like training camp's going to be here soon enough. The season is coming. Get excited, y'all. So uh, that's all I got. Um, Tom, anything else just as a goodbye?
Yeah. Shout out once again to our good buddy Zach Montana, who uh, we'll see if his hips lie. Um, I
Later
don't know.
tonight.
I don't. You think Zach can dance? I guess you'll find out.
I'll find out.
Do you think he's got moves?
I think Zach has moves. Do I think Zach dances is a whole different question.
Right. Right. You got to figure out the chemical combination for making that happen.
That's right. That's right. I will come back from Summer League with the scouting report on Zach in Vegas.
Yes, I absolutely need that. I 100% need. I need you guys to both return with scouting reports of each other.
Perfect. I love that.
All right.
Well, with
Sweet.
that being said, we'll see y'all in probably like a week and a half's time or so. But peace out.